of the times I feel like I can't control my anger. And that's nothing to where it gets physical with anybody, but when you get rageful, when someone gets rageful, what is their first response? Okay, well, some people's response is, oh, I should calm down, I should take a breather. But I feel like common folk, majority folk that don't know how to control their emotions or know what to do with them, they rage. They get rageful. And those are feelings of hatred either towards themselves, sadness that was pent up, or, just undescribable feelings. And all are okay until the worst happens. Just think of the worst possible outcome when you become rageful and just put it out there. And this isn't me saying that it's okay to be mad, or it's okay to be mad actually, but it's not okay to be rageful, I guess, and throw stuff and harass others and all that. And I'm actually very guilty of this. And I know a lot of you don't really know a whole lot about me, but whenever I get mad in private, I destroy things. It doesn't help me at all, and I don't feel any better. Now I just have a mess to clean up, and that takes more time off from what I wanted to do. And I hope there are some of you out there that feel like this as well, because I know definitely that there are people who don't know how to explain or describe their emotions, and they don't really know how to feel happy for themselves. And they pent up all this anger and all these emotions like rising in them, and then like one little thing and their whole room is destroyed, their car is destroyed, they have clutter in it, they're cluttered the kitchen with just everything. And it's sad sometimes to see, because these the people that you didn't expect it from. But then people are like, oh well, he's so nice, like where did this come from, we've never seen this. Like, well, you don't see this because people don't tell you about it. What if they were afraid to tell you? What if they thought, oh, they might make fun of me for this, or I might be put under the bus for this. And there's always things like therapy and everything, but my outlet is fighting. I would rather fight in a sanctioned gym than on the streets with people that I could hurt or could hurt me. And you never know what will happen. You could be crashing all over the place in public, and someone could take it the wrong way, and they would think you're fighting them. And then next thing you know, you have a charge. Or worse. But just know that controlling your anger, it takes time. And I don't even know fully like where you guys like are coming from, or like what's going on with y'all, but I try to take care of everybody I meet. Everybody that's ever been in my life, I try to let them know like this is a safe place to talk. This is you're in good hands. So whatever your background is, whatever you think is going on or is going on, just know that it's okay. Like I've been there too. I get mad a lot. I throw shit. I yell at people. And as long as you love yourself and you just like try to keep making an effort on just learning how to calm down and really focus in on your emotions and really understanding like what you're doing and why you're doing it, then I think you'll be okay. And for now, you'll have your moments where you slip up and you just get rageful, but as long as you don't direct it towards someone, just try to like keep it to a minimum. Don't like yell at people or throw things, even at yourself. Rage doesn't even have to be your surrounding area. I know, and I'm sorry for people who this might be a trigger warning, but people who cut themselves or self-harm, or they punch themselves in the face, or they pull hairs from themselves, or they pinch themselves, or people who scratch themselves, just anything that causes self-harm. I've seen it in many ways. I've seen people try to cover it up. I've seen people just do everything they can to make sure that no one knows it's them right there. And it's them doing that. But there's always different ways around it. There's always other ways you can go about controlling your rage. And sorry, this is just a tough topic, but you know, one of the sources that comes from my rage is as a kid was from my parents. And I grew up in a house with people who didn't realize that there were other people with them. And my dad has owned up to it, but my mom, we're still kind of on the fence about that. But you know, when you grow up with people who don't know how to handle their own emotions and don't understand how to tell people that there are other ways to deal with them, you know, you send them off to therapy, you send them off to pills and school, you know, trying to get away from it instead of just talking about it. I remember one time I asked my dad for help, and he looked at me and told me, "Oh, ask ChatGPT about it." Okay. And I didn't even do what I needed help with. I just threw it away. And I just hope that everybody in here can realize that, you know, it's you'll be okay. You know, I know a lot of times I'm always talking about like emotions are just like a thing, like blah 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 and this and that. But you know, really learn to understand who you are and why you're doing this. You know, why do you feel this way? Okay, well, let's calm down, let's stop crying, and really focus on everything. And you know, where does the rage come from? Does it come from inside? You know, is it an internal thing? Is it an external thing? Maybe your ex is tripping, or maybe your mom is doing something, or maybe, you know, you're broke, like you can't pay for shit and all you think about is money, and all your friends are like, let's go here and there and there and trips and this. And you know, I was there once. That was me last summer. People always wanted to do shit, and I didn't have $1 to my name, and everybody was always trying to do shit, and I just couldn't do anything. So I missed out on a lot of stuff. That's not to say that I didn't have a fun summer, but when you're struggling and you are rageful, like you can't really focus on anything else, and I get that. I completely get that. And don't ever let anybody undermine your feelings or lessen your worth, you know? Don't ever let somebody tell you that what you're feeling isn't okay, you know? What you're feeling is always okay, you know? You're a human just as much as any of the rest of us are. And this is all our first time living too, you know? Like, I mess up, you mess up, your parents mess up, your grandmother messes up, everybody messes up. Nobody has lived the perfect life. And if you do, there's some fault to that. If you think you're perfect, you are at fault, you know? And I just want everybody to realize that there are ways around everything, but don't ever shortcut it, you know? If you're always mad, don't blame it on someone else just because you're not feeling okay, or try to let someone else just take the blame for you, you know? But then there are people like people persons, people person. They let people walk all over them, and they have no self-esteem. And I see this a lot. This was me at some point. I just didn't really have a lot of confidence. I didn't have a lot of self-esteem growing up, so I let a lot of people do whatever they wanted, and it cost me a lot, and most of my dignity was taken away. But now I'm older and I have more confidence, and I can say surely with the fact that I do let people know when something's up. I do understand my emotions more and why I feel them, and that came with time though. You know, you can't just say one day that you're okay. Like, I remember one day I told my dad, I was like, this is my last therapy session, and I was only like 8 sessions into it, and he was like, why? And I said, well, this is the happiest I've ever felt in a long time. And he was like, okay, but why is this your last session? And I was like, well, I mean, the therapy's been working, like I don't think I need it anymore. And I didn't understand from that moment on that you don't just cold turkey your feelings, you know? Like, emotions are always going to come to play, and your emotions will evolve as you mature when you're older. So, you know, like, you're not going to be the same person 20 days from now, 20 months from now, 20 years from now. So, I mean, just think about that. Learn to be mindful about your rage, you know? Never shy down to someone's words against you. But all right, I love you guys. I'll see you later. Peace.